In this video, I ran Lumos in a real-world stress test with Hubstaff actively tracking in the background. The original session ran for 8 hours, which has been sped up into a 30x time-lapse so the complete demo can be watched from start to finish in about 16 minutes. You'll see the exact Lumos setup, the full time-lapse test, and then the admin side of Hubstaff to see exactly what an employer or administrator would actually see afterwards, including track time, screenshots, app and website activity, and unusual activity reports. Here is Lumos. Lumos is a desktop application that lets you simulate natural, varying, and unpredictable activity on your computer, including mouse movement, scrolling, clicking, keyboard activity, browser tab switching, and application switching. I've already made a separate walkthrough showcasing Lumos in greater detail. I'll link that in the description below. For this video, we are going to be focusing on a real-world stress test of Lumos. This was not a short sample or a quick demo. Lumos was left running autonomously for over 10 hours while Time Doctor tracked in the background. For this test, Lumos was configured in advanced mode with all the automation settings turned on, all set to medium intensity. The mouse safe zones are set as shown on the screen, with one safe zone on the right and one on the left. The keyboard activity style is set to silent. Time Doctor was actively tracking in the background throughout the session. The original screen recording is continuous and unaltered from the start of the test through to the end. The only change in this video is that the footage has been sped up 30 times so you can actually see the whole thing from start to finish reasonably here in this video. Here's the beginning of the session. What you're watching now is the full continuous recording played back at 30 times speed. The original session ran for 8 hours and the time-lapse version shown here runs for about 16 minutes. This lets you see the full test from beginning to end without having to watch the entire raw session in real time. Lumos is active and Hubstaff is tracking actively in the background. From this point forward, there is no human intervention. Lumos continues running autonomously while I step away from the computer and Hubstaff continues recording until the test is complete. So at this point, several hours of the autonomous test have passed. Lumos is continuing to run without human input while Hubstaff remains active in the background. With the full session now completed, we can jump over to Hubstaff and review what was recorded on the admin side. Starting with the overall activity and screenshots, we can see that Hubstaff recorded the full 8 hours of time worked shown during the demo. The average activity rate for the session was 54%. This can be configured to be higher or on average lower inside Lumous depending on the settings you choose. For this test, all the automation settings were set to medium intensity. The focus time was 92%, and the work time classification shown on the right is 32% core work, 66% non-core work, and 2% unproductive, which came from YouTube. Of course, these classifications depend on what you leave open and visible while you set Lumous to be running. Here we can also see that there are no unusual activity instances recorded, but we'll come back to that section in more detail shortly. Going through the screenshots, we can see the specific activity percentages recorded for each 10-minute interval. You'll notice that this activity varies across the session. Some intervals are lower, while others are closer to the 50% or 60% range. Very rarely do 2 consecutive intervals show the exact same activity percentage, and the overall distribution is spread out across the session. The mouse and keyboard numbers also vary from interval to interval, as you can see. I'll quickly scroll through the screenshots so you can see the visual changes across the session. You'll notice that no 2 captures ever appear to be exactly the same. The Excel row numbers are constantly changing, which indicates scrolling or simulated keyboard navigation. The Microsoft Word document position changes across captures as well. The active window also varies throughout the session. Sometimes Chrome is in front, while other screenshots show Visual Studio Code with different files, editors, and scroll positions open, or Microsoft Word brought to the front. I'll keep scrolling through these screenshots so you can see. Moving on to the apps that Hubstaff recorded, we can see the applications we would expect to see from this test. Microsoft Excel, Code, which is Visual Studio Code, Chrome, and Microsoft Word. For this first interval, Hubstaff also detected the Hubstaff client itself and reminders. Lumous is masked under the reminders name, so to Hubstaff, this is just an ordinary reminders application and not Lumous. You can also see the time spent in each app during the interval, as well as the number of sessions recorded for each application. These values vary across different hour-long intervals, which helps show changing app usage throughout the session. When we move over to URLs, we again see the websites that were active and that we would expect to see. This includes YouTube, Stack Overflow, Google Meet, Lumous, and ChatGPT. Lastly, when we go over to the Unusual Activity tab, we can see that Hubstaff recorded no unusual activity for the session. There were 0 highly unusual instances, 0 unusual instances, and 0 slightly unusual instances. From the admin side view, this session is presented as 8 hours of track time with varying activity level, screenshots, app usage, URL activity, and no unusual activity instances recorded. To recap, Lumous ran autonomously for 8 hours while Hubstaff actively tracked in the background. You've seen the exact Lumous settings used, the full continuous recording compressed into a 30 times time-lapse, and the Hubstaff reports showing the track session data screenshots, app and website activity, and no unusual activity reports raised. Lumous is available for Windows and macOS with a 7-day risk-free trial and simple monthly pricing with one plan and all features included. To learn more, check out the full app walkthrough linked in the description below, or visit lumos.app to download Lumos and get started today.